Hi and welcome to today's edition of BounceBack. As we continue to look forwards and stay positive and use this time to be able to adapt our coaching methods, methodology and ideas into what's going to be a different way of coaching going forwards. Yesterday we had a look at what we call TETFIME, the technical, tactical, physical and mental way of teaching in relation to the player. And very often we spend so much of our time focused on the players and helping them to become better players that we don't spend as much time looking at ourselves and what we're doing as coaches and how we should be doing similar things. So today we're going to have a look at the TETFIME, the technical, tactical, physical and mental sides of coaching. So again, the four things that we combine in build this ideal performance state. And it does apply to coaches and players. So we're going to have a look now at the technical elements for a coach. So what are the 5 zones? Remember, we have 5 zones in each element, as we did yesterday for the players. So what are your qualifications? What training have you done? What experiences do you have? And what are your strengths and weaknesses? You need to understand these to be able to understand where you are in your coaching world. What's your image? What's the way you look to people? Are you always on time? Do you look professional in the first place? You know, there was a research done some time ago now that it said that more than 50% of people gave up tennis after their first lesson. So if you ever want to consider how important that first lesson is, there are the statistics, and that first image is absolutely critical in helping people buy into both you and into the tennis coaching world. In terms of technology, what technology are you using now? Are we using the video analysis? Are we using the different apps that are out there for match charting, for monitoring our player performance? Are we using the computer to be able to monitor all these things and make sure that we're tracking things properly? If we're not doing that now, we really are getting too far behind, because technology is starting to control and dictate how we teach. Whether you like it or not, it is. And that's what the people we're working with are starting to expect. And at the end of the day, if we don't give people what they're expecting, they're going to stop asking. So look at what technology you're using. How are your facilities? Do they match your image? Are you actually making sure that everything in your coaching facility is mapping up to the way you want to project things? Again, that image. So what are the facilities like? How much influence do you have over those? And making sure you keep those to the levels that you want them. And what types of relationships are you building with the people that you're working with and the people that you're coaching, and perhaps more importantly, the parents of the kids that you're working with? That's up to you how to actually develop those relationships. That will depend upon your personality, your characteristics, and the kind of business that you're running and the kind of players you're working with. But you need to understand what that is. The tactical elements, in terms of goal setting, we've covered that in previous editions, looking at the short, medium and long-term goals and how are you actually going to develop those. And also, what are you getting from your students? We're always looking, what can I give to my players? But what are you getting back? I know when going back many years, when I started working with better and better players, they made me become a better and better coach. I had to go and learn more. I had to go and study more because I had to keep in front of my players. And the players made me a better coach. I didn't make me a better coach. They made me a better coach. So look at what you're getting back from your players and how can you actually use that information to help you develop. And obviously from the business point of view, controlling the finance, the budgets, which we know over the last couple of weeks and maybe months now is going to be a challenge, but it's something we have to address maybe more now than we've ever done in the past. What's your teaching philosophy? How do you actually believe we should be teaching? Are you good at groups or individuals? What situations do you prefer? And in what are the series coming up, we're going to look at how you actually develop a coaching philosophy and how you actually start to take real ownership of what you teach and how you teach it. What preparation do you put in place? Is your core always set up? Is it always ready for when the lesson arrives? How are you doing your timing? And the rituals, we talked about rituals yesterday and the between point time, but rituals for yourself. If you're running your own business, getting into some kind of good habits and rituals is so important to be able to maintain that self-discipline and the self-motivation to keep going day in, day out, not just for weeks, months, but years and years and years. And that's absolutely critical to understand that. The kind of service that you want to offer, very simple, or do you want to go to much deeper and longer lengths to provide the service for your customers? That again is completely up to you, and it will be dependent on the kind of people you're working with. What do they expect? How expectant is that group of people you're working with? The standards that are excellent now will only be the standard basics going forwards. So we're always evolving, and to a certain extent people's expectations are unrealistic, but if we don't meet them, they don't keep coming back. So this is growing all the time. And then finally, the communication. How do we communicate with people? Not just verbally. We're looking at the written use. We're using the website, the social media, the WhatsApp groups, making sure there's consistency across the message there, and also your physical. How you presenting yourself? Are you staying positive, especially at this moment? You make it past that image across to the people that you work with, and becoming a very effective communicator. The physical side, we're looking for every day 7 or 8 hours sleep, which would be perfect, and a break every couple of hours. If you're doing 8-10-hour days, which I know some of you do, and even more, you need to keep having that break. We know the physical and mental body cannot continue for more than 2 hours without a break. That doesn't mean you go and have a cup of tea and half an hour and break and everything. Just a 5-minute break, just to chill, get ready and go again. But to keep going and going without a break, there is little doubt that by the time you get to the end of the day, that last lesson is never as good as the first one. And unless you're starting to offer discounts for the courses at the end of the day, you need to be as good at the end as you were at the start. So plan your day, give yourself time out to rest and recover, so you can maintain that intensity and enthusiasm for all the lessons you deliver every day. Nutrition-wise, we're looking for 5 meals a day if possible. That's snacks as well. Okay, again, feeding the body throughout the day, not one big hit and hoping that keeps you going for the day. Planning those snacks, planning those meals around the working day. And work on what we call the I need, I want rule. So around 75% of the time you should be eating, and as you see below in the hydration, drinking 75% of the time what you actually need to perform your daily functions on the court, when you're on the court, and also 25% of the time eat and drink what you would like. Still need to maintain that mental balance as much as the physical one. So we do need to have some of the good things in life as well as the things we actually need. Going on to the equipment, how good is the equipment that you have? General rule of thumb, you should restring your racket every year, the number of times you play per week. So if you play twice a week, you should be restringing your racket twice a year. So how often do you string your own racket? So most coaches, when I've discussed this in courses, they only string when they break. And yet we're telling the players they need to do it more often. It's your job. Take care of your equipment, take care of yourself, and look at all these different aspects, making sure that you've got everything in place. And your physical status, making sure you maintain that physical presence, because you're not just in this for the single lesson, the day, the week. I already said, if you're coming into this industry and you want to stay in for years, you need to make sure you take care of all these elements. Take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you actually won't have a business. And finally, the mental side. Arguably one of the more important sides of coaching. And for me, the first one is passion, perhaps the most important thing. If you don't have a passion for coaching, I really question why you're coaching. Because if you don't do that with a passion, you're not really going to get the kids or the players you're working with motivated, excited and loving this game. I've been in this business 38 years and I still love what I do. And I know I'm lucky, but I do make the most of that. So please work with a passion, enjoy what you do, take ownership and guide and deliver those programs for your players how you really want them, and that will maintain your passion. Having the attitude, that mental attitude, the enthusiasm to work with people, the patience when things don't quite go right, the cooperation, the flexibility, and make sure that you maintain the right levels of intensity when you're working with different players. Having the motivation to keep going when things are not always working, getting up every day to go and do the job. All these things are really tough, especially if you're working for yourself, because there's nobody pushing you, and it's much harder if you've got to keep pushing yourself all the time. But we have to do it. When we're working with the players, we're trying to go a 3-to-1 negative positive. We don't just want to keep hitting them every time they're getting it wrong. We have to balance it with good things. So give them some good news, then you can put the bad news in, but give them some good news again. So balance it to make sure they stay motivated as well. The discipline, the self-discipline, to maintain the things that we're trying to do, that work ethic, that work-life balance ratio, making sure that we take care of all the other things. And if you go back to one of the very early editions of this series, we looked at how to actually develop goals for yourself as coaches and to make sure they're balanced. So it's not just about coaching your business, you are setting goals across the board to make sure you can maintain this work-life balance. And then finally, your commitment. How much time have you got? How much time are you putting into your coaching, not just on the court, but off court? How much time a day are you actually working? Very often when we ask coaches how many hours they do, they only tell us their hours on court. They never tell us about the time they spend planning or assessing or doing a video analysis, or even sometimes the tournaments when they go and watch the kids play. Look at how much time you're investing in your business and the energy that takes for you to be able to maintain that level. And these are all the mental parts that we need to be able to really control our coaching business and our coaching selves. And for you as the coach, this is also the ideal performance state, making sure you balance all these 4 elements into your coaching life and your business. And again, just that little insight, hopefully this has made you think a little bit wider than just the normal coaching elements, but look at all the different things that you have to have the skill set for to be able to create the ideal performance state for yourself. Because if you don't do it for yourself, it's very difficult then to do it with other people. So take some time, as we've said before, an hour a day is what we're saying. Take an hour a day to improve yourself, reflect, review and plan. And then hopefully, when the time is right, you're going to be ready to bounce back into business, be ready to go and start coaching again at a higher level than you've ever coached before. As always, in the meantime, please stay safe, stay well, and take care. Cheers.